The Young and the Restless Spoilers. The glass walls of Victoria Newman's executive suite at Newman Enterprises usually offered a commanding view of Genoa City, a testament to the power she wielded. Today, however, they felt more like the transparent sides of a cage. The afternoon sun cut sharp angles across the modern furniture, but the air inside was stagnant, heavy with the scent of expensive orchids and impending conflict. Nate Hastings stood by the door he had just closed firmly behind him. He didn't advance into the room. His posture, usually relaxed and confident, was rigid. His hands were balled into fists at his sides, not in a threat of violence, but in a desperate attempt to contain a wave of disappointment that felt like it might drown him. Victoria looked up from her desk, a welcoming smile freezing halfway onto her face. She was impeccable as always, her hair sleek, her blouse crisp, the very image of the CEO who had everything under control. But she knew Nate well enough to read the storm in his eyes. "Nate," she asked, her voice faltering slightly, "I wasn't expecting you until dinner." "I couldn't wait for dinner, Victoria," Nate said, his voice low and vibrating with suppressed anger. He walked further into the room, not stopping until he was directly across the desk from her. "I couldn't sit through another meal pretending that everything is fine while you run shadow operations behind my back." Victoria stiffened, her instincts shifting from lover to executive defense. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Don't," Nate snapped, cutting her off. "Don't insult my intelligence. Not today. I know about the private investigator you hired to tail Billy." Victoria exhaled a sharp breath, her fingers tightening around the silver pen she was holding. She placed it down slowly, buying herself a second to recalibrate. "Billy has been erratic, Nate, you know that. He's making moves against Newman, threatening to destabilize everything my father and I have built. I had to know what he was planning." "So you have him followed?" Nate asked, incredulous. "You treat the father of your children like a corporate insurgent. I saw the reports, Victoria. You aren't just watching his business moves. You're tracking his personal life, his meetings. Everywhere he goes. It's obsessive, and it's underhanded. It's necessary." Victoria stood up, matching his intensity. She walked around the desk, closing the physical distance between them, hoping to bridge the emotional chasm opening up. "You know how Billy gets. If he spirals, it affects Johnny and Katie. It affects the company. I'm protecting my family. I'm protecting us." "Protecting us?" Nate laughed, a dry, humorless sound. "Is that what you call it? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're addicted to the game. You say you want a life of transparency, a partnership based on trust. And then you go and pull a stunt like this." "I didn't tell you because I didn't want you involved," Victoria pleaded, reaching out to touch his arm. But he pulled away. The rejection stung her, visible in the way her eyes widened. "I wanted to handle the dirty work so you could keep your hands clean." "My hands aren't the problem, Victoria. It's your honesty." Nate turned away, walking toward the window, looking out at the city he had once tried to heal as a doctor, a life that seemed a lifetime ago. He turned back to face her, his expression hardening. "And we both know this isn't just about Billy. This is a pattern. You look me in the eye. You tell me you love me. And then you hide things that shatter people's lives." Victoria shook her head. "That's not fair. I have always been honest with you about my feelings." "Have you?" Nate's voice dropped to a whisper that carried more weight than a shout. "Just like you were honest about Lily." The color drained from Victoria's face. The room went silent, the hum of the fixed system suddenly sounding like a roar. This was the landmine she had been praying he wouldn't step on. "I know you knew," Nate said, his voice trembling with a mix of betrayal and grief. "I know you've known for weeks that your father was using Lily as a pawn in this takeover scheme. You knew my cousin, my family was being manipulated, kept in the dark. And you said nothing. You watched me worry about her. You watched me try to reach her. And you said nothing." "It wasn't my secret to tell," Victoria defended weakly, though she knew how hollow it sounded. "Victor had a plan. Lily is tough, Nate. She can handle herself. I couldn't betray my father's confidence just to ease your mind." "It wasn't just easing my mind," Nate roared, finally losing his composure. "It was about loyalty. You chose your father's ruthless ambition over me, over my family. You made me look like a fool. Victoria, I'm out there defending you to everyone, telling them you've changed. That you're not just Victor Newman in a skirt. And all the while, you're proving them right. He paced the length of the office, running a hand over his shaved head. It makes me wonder, he said, stopping to look at her with a gaze that felt like a physical weight. Is that all I am to you? A convenient ally? Someone to warm your bed and secure your flank at Chancellor Winters? Do you actually love me? Or do you just love that I'm useful? How can you ask that? Victoria's eyes filled with tears. She rushed to him, grabbing his hands before he could pull away again. Her grip was desperate. Nate, look at me. I love you. Everything I do. Every maneuver. Every deal, it's to build a future where we are secure, where no one can touch us. I'm not using you. You are the only real thing in my life right now. She softened her voice, stepping closer, her perfume a scent he usually found intoxicating now cloying in the tense air. I'm sorry I didn't tell you about Billy. I'm sorry about Lily. I was trying to manage impossible situations. Please, don't let business destroy what we have personally. We're better than that. Nate looked down at her hands gripping his. They were elegant, manicured hands that could sign billion-dollar mergers without shaking, yet now they trembled. He wanted to believe her. He wanted to pull her close and let the familiarity of her embrace erase the ugly truth. But the doctor in him knew that ignoring a symptom didn't cure the disease. He gently extricated his hands from hers and took a step back. The separation felt final. I don't think we are better than that, Victoria, Nate said sadly. Because for you, business is personal. There is no line. You justify the lies by calling them strategy. You justify the cruelty by calling it protection. I can't live like that. I can't sleep next to someone wondering what secret she's keeping that's going to blow up in my face the next morning. I can change, Victoria insisted, panic rising in her chest. I can be more open. Just tell me what you need. I need to know if I can trust you, Nate said. And right now, I don't think I can. You didn't just hide a business deal. Victoria, you hid the truth about my own blood. You watched me agonize over Lily and you stayed silent. That's not love. That's management. He looked toward the door, the escape route calling to him. I have to ask myself if I want a future with a woman who finds it so easy to lie. I looked at you today, really looked at you. And I didn't recognize the person I fell for. I saw a Newman. Just another Newman. Victoria recoiled as if slapped. Nate, please. Don't do this. Don't walk out. I need time, Nate said, his voice flat, devoid of the warmth she craved. I need to think about whether there's anything left here worth saving. Because right now, all I see is manipulation. I'll prove it to you, Victoria vowed, her voice cracking. Give me a chance to fix this. I'll call off the tail on Billy. I'll talk to Victor about Lily. I'll do whatever it takes. Nate paused with his hand on the door handle. He looked back at her, standing alone in the center of her glass cage, surrounded by the trappings of her success and the wreckage of her intimacy. I don't know if that's enough anymore, Nate said softly. Fixing the problem doesn't fix the fact that you created it. He opened the door and walked out, leaving Victoria alone in the silence of her office. The echo of the latch clicking shut sounding like a gavel bringing down a judgment she wasn't sure she could appeal. The silence in the executive suite of Newman Enterprises was heavy, broken only by the rhythmic drumming of rain against the floor-to-ceiling windows. It was late past 10 and the city lights of Genoa City blurred into streaks of gold and charcoal against the glass. Nate Hastings sat behind Victoria Newman's massive mahogany desk, the glow of her tablet illuminating his furrowed brow. He wasn't supposed to be snooping. He was supposed to be finalizing the merger projections she'd asked him to review while she finished a call with the London division in the conference room next door. They had been inching closer lately, a tentative dance of shared dinners and lingering glances that hinted at a reunion. He wanted to believe they were past the secrets. He tapped the screen to close the spreadsheet, but his finger grazed a folder labeled simply, Assets Y. Expecting information on the Winters Abbott acquisition, Nate opened it. The air left his lungs. It wasn't a business dossier. It was a digital shrine of surveillance. Dozens of subfolders filled the screen, each dated and time-stamped. His heart hammered a warning rhythm against his ribs as he clicked the most recent one. High-resolution photographs flooded the display. Billy Abbott leaving his apartment. Billy arguing with Sally Spectre at Society. Billy entering the athletic club. There were transcripts of text messages, GPS logs mapping his daily routes, and even financial breakdowns of his personal credit card expenditures. "What the hell?" Nate whispered, the words scraping his throat. He scrolled further. This wasn't just keeping tabs on an ex-husband. This was a systematic dissection of a man's life. There were notes in the margins of the documents, written in Victoria's sharp, distinctive shorthand. Erratic behavior observed -14, leverage point. Gambling relapse potential, and isolate from chancellor duties. The door to the office clicked open. Nate froze, his hand hovering over the device. Victoria breezed in, looking every inch the corporate empress in her cream silk blouse and pencil skirt, a weary but triumphant smile on her face. "London is on board," she said, closing the door softly behind her. It took some convincing, but they see the vision. "Now, about those projections, Nate." She stopped halfway to the desk. The warmth in her eyes evaporated as she saw the tablet in his hands, and more importantly, the look on his face. It wasn't the look of a colleague or a lover. It was the look of a man who had just found a corpse. "What are you looking at?" Her voice was steady, dangerously calm. Nate slowly turned the tablet around, the screen glowing accusations between them. "Tell me this isn't what it looks like, Victoria. Tell me you aren't having Billy followed." Victoria's posture stiffened, her chin lifting instinctively. She didn't gasp, she didn't stammer. She went into damage control mode. "You're invading my privacy, Nate." "I'm invading your privacy." Nate stood up, the chair scraping harsh and loud against the floor. "Victoria, you have weeks of surveillance here. Photos, transcripts. You're tracking his location every hour of the day. This is sick." "It is necessary," she countered, walking around the desk to snatch the tablet from him. She locked the screen with a sharp tap. "You know how unstable Billy has been lately. The fight for Chancellor, his obsession with proving himself to my father he's a loose cannon. He's the father of your children, not a corporate rival you're trying to hostile takeover." Nate snapped, stepping into her space. "I saw the notes, Victoria. Leverage points. You aren't doing this to protect Johnny and Katie. You're looking for dirt. I am doing this for my family." Her voice rose, cracking the cool veneer. "If Billy spirals again, if he gambles away his share of the company or gets involved with the wrong people, who cleans up the mess? Me. It's always me. I need to know what he's doing before he does it." "So you stalk him?" Nate looked at her as if he was seeing a stranger. The softness that had been building between them over the last few weeks, the hope he'd held for a fresh start, was dissolving like smoke. "This isn't protection. This is control. You can't stand that he's making moves without your permission." "You don't understand the pressure I'm under," Victoria said, her eyes flashing with defensive fire. "My father is watching my every move, waiting for a slip-up. Billy is reckless. If he crashes and burns, the fallout hits Newman. It hits me. I have to be 2 steps ahead. That is the job." "This isn't the job," Nate shouted, the sound echoing off the glass walls. "This is personal. You're obsessed with him." The accusation hung in the air, thick and suffocating. Victoria flinched, a flicker of genuine hurt crossing her face before she walled it off. "I am not obsessed," she said icily. "I am pragmatic. Something you used to understand when you were willing to cut corners for success at Chancellor Winters." Nate recoiled. "That was a mistake. One I've spent years trying to atone for. But this, you're not sorry, Victoria. You're just sorry I caught you." He ran a hand over his shaved head, pacing away from her toward the window. The city below looked cold, indifferent. "I can't do this. I can't be part of this." "Nate, please," Victoria's voice softened, taking a step toward him. She reached out, her hand hovering near his arm but not touching. "It's just data. It's insurance. Put it in perspective. We're finally getting to a good place. Don't throw us away over Billy Abbott." "It's not about Billy." Nate turned back, his eyes sad. "It's about you. It's about what you're capable of justifying. If you can do this to him, monitor his private texts. Photograph him. What are you doing to me? Is there a file on my phone too? Are you tracking my car?" "Of course not." "How do I know that?" Nate shook his head. "The trust is gone, Victoria. Just like that." He walked back to the desk, grabbing his jacket. "Billy needs to know." Victoria's eyes went wide. She lunged forward, grabbing his arm. "No, you can't." He has a right to know his ex-wife is treating him like a suspect in a federal investigation. Nate, think about what you're doing, she hissed, her grip tightening. If you tell him, he'll use it against me. He'll go to the press. He'll try to take the kids full-time. My father will use it to question my fitness as CEO. You would be destroying my life. You destroyed it yourself when you decided to play spy, Nate said, pulling his arm free. If you walk out that door and tell him, Victoria threatened, her voice dropping to a low, dangerous register, you are declaring war on me. And you know I don't lose wars. Nate looked at her, really looked at her, and saw the jagged edges of the Newman legacy, the ruthlessness that Victor had bred into her. It broke his heart. I'm not looking for a war, Victoria, Nate said quietly. I was looking for a partner, but I don't see one in this room. He turned and walked toward the door. Nate, she cried out, the desperation finally bleeding through. Don't do this. We can delete the files. I'll stop. Just don't tell him. Nate paused with his hand on the brass handle. He didn't look back. The image of those photos, Billy laughing, unaware he was being watched, burned in his mind. I need to think, Nate said. He opened the door and walked out, leaving Victoria alone in her tower, the tablet glowing on the desk like a radioactive isotope, threatening to poison everything she had built.